Hello. So before you watch the video that we're about to do a little bit later on, with the Scorched Earth and the role playing we're going to be doing, thought it best to come on first and to give you a little bit of an overview of the rules that we'll be using. These are rules written by me, of course, and again, these are rules that are simply well, they're designed to be extremely simple, but I'll go into that in a second. So just a quick primer video. You need to understand the rules as they're happening in game. Okay, so here. Alright, so here is my desktop. Hello. And here's the Scorched Earth. So here are Scorched Earth rules. We're going to be skipping a lot of this. A lot of this is lore stuff, and we will be going over lore in different videos, of course. Skipping all of this. And I will come back to the races as well, because all the races have their own lore bits here, with a bit of rules in there. But essentially, page 20 here is the page that you want to know everything you want to be reading to know the rules that we're going to be doing in the session. So we'll go from bottom to top here, on the right-hand side, just so you can know exactly what we're going to be talking about in terms of the session. So, the Scorched Earth rules are D20 based, okay? Our rules are D20 based. Everything you do in the Scorched Earth relies on a D20. Your success or failure, no matter what your stats are, depends on the following rolls. So, it doesn't matter whether we're in combat, or whether we're not in combat, whether we're jumping over a wall, or we're trying to convince someone and tell them a lie, or whatever. It always relies on this chart. The rules of Scorched Earth are designed to be extremely simple, okay? Very easy to get into. But they're also designed to be a sort of primer for people who want to get into D&D, but they find it a bit too dense. Because even 5th edition, you know, the sheer amount of rules that there are for different things gets a little bit overwhelming at times. You know, a lot of people find it... I don't want any nerd flexing here, by the way. If you find it easy to do Dungeons & Dragons, bully for you, okay? But not everyone does. So, like, you know, the Scorched Earth is designed to be a much more... pulled down, stripped down version of D&D. Because when I looked at it for a long time, I've always thought D&D is to be a very bloated system with a lot of rules that don't really do very much for how bloated they are. You know, there are rules in D&D that are several pages long that are literally to do one thing, like, you know, and it's just, mate, just tell me what I need to roll, okay? So me and a friend of mine who will be playing in the game, John, we've been discussing this for years about how it's, you know, we genuinely think D&D is one of the worst rule settings out there. It really is. It's not a very good set of rules. Never has been. But what it does have is a kernel of genius, and that its very core concept is very easy to get, which is, and so I took that core concept, because whereas D&D, you know, when you actually boil it down, it's a D20 based system with pluses and minuses to different things. That's it. And, you know, your success or failure is dictated by the person who's actually, you know, running the game. And so that's what this is. It's just the entire thing boiled down to that. You roll D20, you add or take away whatever numbers you're doing at this time around, and you see if you succeed or not. And this page never changes. Okay, so this on the right hand side, this never changes. A 1 is always a total failure. So we'll go from bottom to top. If you roll D20 to do something, anything in the game, so number 1, total failures have deadly consequences for you and others. This type of failure often leads to severe trouble for your group and your health. Your GM is given complete control over what happens next. Rolls of a 1 can never be modified. Bang! Nice and simple. Okay, if you roll a 1, you're fucked, basically. Okay, something really bad's going to happen. 2 to 5 is a reinforced failure. Okay, so you fail at the current task and suffer a setback for it. This could be a mild damage from a trap you're trying to disarm, your favourite lockpick breaking in a lock, or guards being alerted as you climb through a window. Yeah, so not deadly stuff going on, but, you know, still pretty bad. 5 to 8 is a failure. You fail at your current task, wherever it may be. No other ill effects occur, however, but a failure in combat can have deadly consequences. Okay? And this is the same for everyone, by the way. This never changes, again. So we need to get out of that mindset of, oh, but, you know, I'm really good at... So if you've got like a 10 in strength or might... sorry, like a really high strength or might score, and you get a 5 or an 8, that's still a failure. It doesn't matter how strong you are, it's still a failure. But you will get pluses and minuses to that, so you've got less of a chance of getting a failure. So 8 to 11 is status quo, so this is the grey area. So it's up to your GM to decide if you succeed in your task or not. If it was a simple task for your character, then they will likely succeed. If it was a complex problem, then this roll will likely fail. So, again, if you have a very high might score, and you're trying to hold open a door while someone's pushing against it to try and close it, an 8 or 11 will probably succeed, because you have a very high might score. If you don't have a very high might score, then this will probably fail. That's what that means. 12 to 14 is always a success. You succeed at what you're trying to do. This can be dangerous. It can be a dangerous number if you're rolling in combat, or if you just need to pick a lock, swipe a key, or keep running at high speed. This success should see you alright. Bog standard successes, okay? It's also quite dangerous as a roll if you're rolling against another character, so if you're like doing a test of strength, you know, if you get 12 to a 14 and the other person gets an 18, then they'll beat you in that success. But generally, it's a success. 15 to 19 is a reinforced success, okay? So it means you succeed in the action you're taking and a general benefit is given to you. If you're drawing your bow to shoot someone and they are doing the same, a success like this may be enough to drop them before they loose their own shaft. Not only do you bypass traps around a doorway in a dungeon, but you spy a rather large gem in a nearby alcove. So 15 to 19 is success with a sweetener. Yeah, something nice. 20 plus, especially a natural 20, is a critical success, okay? So, you succeed in any action you're taking, as in you shoot the goon in the head, you pull up 4 aces in a 5-hand poker to win a big pot, you get the idea. If the roll is above 20, as in your stats buff a natural 20 above 20, you're sometimes allowed to dictate to the GM exactly what happens next. So, yeah, some nat 20s are really, really, really powerful. So what do they rely on? Well, they rely on your core attributes. So these are the things that make your character do what they're doing. Okay, this is what makes them characters, essentially. So your core attributes come in 8 flavors. Choose wisely, as there are no level ups within the Scorched Earth. Okay, so that's a whole slew of complication taken out the system. When you are rolling your d20, each point you have in a certain core attribute will give you a +1 modifier to your roll. Your GM will tell you what CA you are rolling against, core attribute that means, you're rolling against for any specific task, but when you read the description here, their usage should be self-explanatory. What that means is, like, if I'm asking you to punch through a wall, if you're asking me to punch through a wall, you're going to be rolling against might, aren't you? Because you're using your strength to punch through a wall. They're self-explanatory, okay? Core attributes are generally not used in combat unless specific circumstances arise, like wrestling with someone or trying to convince your enemies to lay down their arms. Yep. For instance, having 3 points in might would mean that if you wish to punch through a wall, your GM would ask you to roll against might. You roll a d20 and add 3 to your result. You rolled a 15. 15 plus 3 is 18, which is a very good roll. You will likely succeed in punching through the wall. It's that simple. That is 99% of what we'll be doing in the game is that. Yeah, okay? It's things like that. So we've got might here, which is how strong you are. I'm not going to read them all out because, you know, obviously you just need to know a vague understanding of the rules. So might here is standard strength. Yeah, you get, you know, speed, how speedy you are. Guile is how good you are at sneak attacking and sneaking. And vitality is how much health points you have and how healthy you are against disease. Attraction is how sexy you are, but also how much of an attraction your personality has. Cult leaders, for example. Ingenuity is how good you are at fixing things, at doing mental work, things like that. It's a stand-in for intelligence. Stormblood is how good you are with magic and how much magic you have in your magic pool. And perception is how perceptive you are. Done. Okay. So this is all about building your character. We don't need to know too much about this. But one thing we do need to know is about skills. So skills in this game are basically always combat skills, almost always. The skills differ to your core attributes in that they are only generally used for combat purposes. When in combat, your core attribute modifiers do not count towards any roll you make. Right, it's very important. Instead, your skills take over this role. Right, so when out of combat, your core attributes, you know, they have plus or minuses to them. Yeah, that's what they are. For each point you have in a skill, you gain a +1 buff to that roll. So, just like core attributes from that. So, let's say I'm attacking someone. Well, yeah, there's a thing here. So, for instance, if player A has 2 points in long swords and is using a weapon classified as a long sword, and they are attacking someone, they roll a d20. They rolled a 12. With their 2 points in long swords, this becomes a 14. 12 plus 2 equals 14. Roll difficulty in combat is the same as out of combat, so refer to the graph at the start of this section to learn what you need to hit somebody, which is what we've already been through, okay? So in essence, everything you do outside of combat relies on your core attributes, whilst everything you do inside of combat relies on your skills. Yeah? Nice and easy. Nice and easy. You know, and there's movement, like, so we've got action points in combat, things like that. One thing I'd like to point out is damage. Okay, so there are 2 types of damage in the game, which you will see on the right hand side here. So, superficial damage, this is the type of damage that, like a stiff knock to the head or a stab in the leg that causes it to buckle beneath you. It's not enough to kill you, but it can take you out of a fight. Falling to 0 vitality points or below after being hit with superficial damage will knock you out of the current combat. Alright? There's aggravated damage. You want to avoid this. Okay, this denotes a stab to the gut or arrow to the eye. Should your vitality points fall to 0 or below after taking aggravated damage, then your character dies. Now, hopefully, that seems harsh to you, and it should. Because in the Scorched Earth, death comes all the time. It's very, 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 you're very, very, very squishy. And that's, it's as realistic as it can get. Yeah, one lucky sword hit to the side and you are dead. You're pretty much a dead man. But you do have armor, okay? So armor, I'm going to boil this down. Armor, basically whatever armor you're wearing takes away from the damage. So if there's 10 damage and you've got 5 armor, it takes away 5 armor. It takes away 5 damage, sorry. So you only take 5. Yeah? So if you're taking 10 damage, you take 5 on your armor, 5 gets through. Armor piercing means that a weapon is ignoring a certain amount of your armor. Yeah, so if a sword does 5 damage and your opponent's total armor value is 4, you would do 1 damage. If your sword had an AP value of 2, then you would do 3 damage. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. It's general standard maths. You know, standard maths. There's all things about death, dual wielding. We don't need to know about much of this because again, you're not playing the game; you're just watching it. This is all here for you. These are the spells that you can choose from. Needn't have done that in the end because no one picked a mage, which is a bit annoying. And you have all the weapons here. So let's look at Bastard Sword. So the Steel Bastard Sword. Points value, don't worry about that. That's basically just how much points people have to make their character and how expensive things are. Class, Bastard. So if you have a point in Bastard Swords up here, you know, if you have a point in Bastard Swords, then you'll be able to use that weapon reasonably well. So it's very self-explanatory, you know. So say if I want to use a Steel Bastard Sword, I would say, okay, I'm going to put 2 points, or 2 of my skill points into Bastard Swords, which means I get a +2 to hit when I'm hitting with a Bastard Sword. Awesome. You know, and I pick this one. And each one has a damage ratio. So if I do a normal hit, so remember that graph at the start? This is what this relies on. So if I get a success, 9 superficial damage, right? If I get a reinforced success, I get 11 superficial damage. And if I get a 20 or above, even with modifiers, I do 13 aggravated damage, right? So so it's that simple. Yes, combat will be very, very, very quick in this game as well. So that's basically the rules. That's the rules. That's all you need to know about. That's it. That's the Scorched Earth rules. One last thing we'll do before we finish. Let's look at the racial profile. So each race in the setting has a racial rule and a racial core attribute bonus. Okay, so let's look at the Valkyr, for example. The Valkyr racial rule, which we've just been doing the Valkyr in the lore videos. It's called Wrath of the Northmen. That's their racial rule. A Valkyr gets a free point into an axe skill of their choice, great axe, hand axe, and so forth. That's nice, isn't it? So this shows that you're naturally good at using axes. They also receive a base +2 modifier to checks involving movement on or piloting ships. Makes them good sailors. Excellent. And the racial core tribute bonus means they get +1 might and +1 vitality before you add any points into your core attributes. So that's every single race has one of those. Okay, so the Logia have the once and future people. You know, they have their own special rules, things like that. These are a lot more in depth than we need to know. This is what you need to know. Here. Okay, that's all you need to know is page 20. To understand what's going on. And that's it. That's the Scorched Earth. Okay? So, thank you very much for watching. And I really hope you enjoy the session. There will be, there are 2 new people to role-playing in the session. So bear with them. You know, they're not going to be amazing first time, just starting it. But I really hope you enjoy it. And I really hope that you enjoy growing with them as well as they get into the session, seeing how much better they get. So, thank you very much. Speak to you next time.